Hey, CFoulke here with another installment of Out of the Vault. This is actually a double feature. I have two videos, both listed on May 2nd, 2013, which is the same time the last video is listed. I think I saved a bunch up and listed them all at once, so we're going to work through these. They're two short videos, so let's go ahead and watch the first one. Here we go. Okay, so I remember this. A3 was the lowest I had tuned. If you remember in the last video, my templates ended up being too high. They were kind of too small. I figured out more or less where my templates were and then adjusted, and then my goal was I wanted to make D Aeolian, I think, so D to D in the minor scale with the A center, similar to a first gen hung scale. So this was the lowest I'd gone on a center note, which is A3, and this is probably, looking at the lino tune here, this is probably the closest I ever got to being completely in tune. I wish I knew what the bands were. I'm sure it's fundamental, octave, fifth, and then maybe something else above. I think the ones in the middle that aren't registering are probably like a minor third, major third, fourth, if I had to guess. That was an easy way for me to kind of track where my third partial was. I'm sure I just had a giant grin on my face when I was playing this to get it all in tune. Right, okay, so that is GTune. GTune is another program that we use. It's a spectrum, so it kind of shows everything. So all those peaks that you saw jumping up were the fundamental octave, fifth, and in a handpan note, that's all we really shoot for. The dimple kind of eliminates the other ones. But in a steel pan note, you can see that there were a bunch more peaks beyond the first three. So you get fundamental, octave, compound fifth, second octave, and I think it's a major third, something like that. I can't remember. I knew it back then. It's lost. So that's the first video. Let's go ahead and watch the second video. This was probably right around the same time. And so what we're seeing here is, this is a technique that some makers use. They put fine sand or quartz sand in the note, and then when you strike it, it will give you an idea of where the actual note border is and what is and is not vibrating and where they are and are not vibrating. So what's happening here, what we're going to see is, I think this is the same instrument. I think this is the A3 in the middle. I am striking the A4 with a mallet, and I am exciting the octave of the A3 in the center. So let's see what that looks like. All right, so what we saw right there is that the center note, it got split in half. So that's the octave vibrating on either side of that kind of split in the middle, the nodal line there. And so this is a really good visual representation. Beyond that, you could see where around the note border the sand was and wasn't vibrating. So it kind of gives you a good indicator of where things are. All right, let's keep going. Great. Yeah, I think I made my point there. So once again, we saw the sand kind of form that line across the center of the note. So that is the line of where the fifth would be, but it's the kind of vibrational point where the octave vibrates on each other side like that and kind of goes back and forth. So fun to see this older stuff. You know, that kind of stuff, tuning at A3 these days, it happens all the time. But back then, it was thrilling to get something that in tune. All right, so I guess that's it for this installment. I'll see you in the next one.